Tuesday will mark President Trump's 100th day in office. We have a brand new CNN poll showing Americans are turning on him after propelling him back into office just 6 months ago. According to this brand new poll, Trump's approval rating now standing at just 41%. To give you some context, that is the lowest for any president at this point in his term in the history of modern polling, going all the way back to Eisenhower. This beats the record Trump himself set at the 100-day mark of his first term back in 2017. Trump's approval sliding down 7 points from just late February. There's very little good news in this poll, and for the president, and CNN's chief data analyst, Harry Enten, is joining us here in Washington to break down the numbers. Harry, very good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
You're here, brand new polling. Where are we 100 days, almost 100 days into President Trump's second term as compared to his first?
I mean, these numbers are just horrible. There's no way to sugarcoat it. And the first way we'll sort of point that out is we'll look at where Donald Trump is now versus where he was 100 days into his first presidency. And you see it here. You don't have to be a mathematical genius. 41% approve of him now. It was 44% back in 2017 around the 100-day mark. And what's so notable here is that throughout his second term as president, he tended to be running ahead of where he was in his first term. No longer is that the case. He has fallen below where he was at this point in his first term. Of course, this is just Trump. Let's compare him to other presidents. And I really think this kind of puts a bow on it. And you can see it here. You see the 41%. That is 12 points below Joe Biden. That's 3 points below where he was in his first term. Look at where Obama was, 63%. He's 22 points below that. And George W. Bush at this point in 2001, he is, again, 21 points below. And as you pointed out in your opening, Jessica Dean, I look back at all of the polling we possibly could long before I was born. And Trump's 41% at 100 days is the worst on record. He has broken his own record for being the worst. The American people do not like what they are seeing at this point from Donald John Trump.
It's just also amazing to see the 60s.
Not that long ways away.
Yeah. Now, Trump ran, obviously, on immigration and the economy. What kind of marks are people giving him on those two issues?
Yeah, okay, so let's take a look at the issues, right? Because it's not just about overall, it's about the issues. There's only one data point where Trump is above 45%. It comes to his handling of gender identity policy. He's at 51%. Every other issue, immigration, where he has long been above water, look at this, below water, 45%. How about the economy? My goodness gracious, he was elected to fix the economy, just 39%. And of course, the tariff war, 34% on that. The bottom line here is just very simply the numbers for Donald Trump are awful, awful, awful in this poll. And then, of course, you look again on the economy, we compare it to where we were back in 2017. You see the 49% there. Look here, 39%, 10 points below where he was. I'm going to make the green mark a little bit better there, 49%. And again, I went back and looked at all the presidents I possibly could since 1977, and Donald Trump on the economy here, it's not just the lowest for this term, it's the lowest for any president on record 100 days into a presidency. Just no bueno, Jessica.
That is really remarkable. Okay, so how confident are people that he's going to use the office of the presidency responsibly?
Yeah, okay, so we're talking about the issues. Let's just talk a little bit here about just the overall way that Donald Trump is going about his business, right? Use presidential power responsibly. No confidence Trump will. Well, back in December of 2024, it was 46%. Look at where we've jumped to now. 54% of Americans have no confidence that Trump will use the power of the presidency responsible. And so this just tells you on every single different data point you could possibly look at, whether it be Trump's overall approval, whether it be the issues for Donald Trump, or how he conducts himself in office, all of these numbers are pretty much terrible for Donald Trump at this point. And so you just see it here. 54% who say that no confidence he's going to use presidential power responsibly. It's just no good, Jessica.
All right, Harry, thank you so much for walking us through the numbers and joining us to break it all down this morning. The Wall Street Journal's Molly Ball, Joanna Coles of the Daily Beast, and Tia Mitchell of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Good morning to all of you. Thanks for being with us early this morning. Molly, I want to start with you first. I want to get all of your thoughts on this new polling. What's striking to you when you start looking into these numbers?
I think what is striking is the fact that Trump's ratings have slid across the board, right? There's been a clear trajectory in this and other polls really since the beginning of his second term. I think, number one, the fact that he's lost his advantage on the economy is a really big blinking red light that a lot of Republicans are concerned about, because for so long that was his signature advantage. People could say, maybe I don't like, his character, maybe I don't like him overall, but I do like what he's doing with the economy. The fact that that has turned upside down and his ratings on the economy are now worse than his overall ratings is a really big red flag, I think, for him and for the entire Republican Party. And then just the fact that people don't like how fast he's moving. I think early on, a lot of what you heard, including in some sort of focus groups, was, well, at least he's doing something, right? He's moving fast, he's breaking things. We may not like every detail of, say, what Doge is up to, but at least he's doing things. We're tired of this sort of passive presidency where nothing gets done. And now you actually see the American people sort of saying, maybe we should put the brakes on.
Yeah, that is interesting. And Joanna, Trump also was doing well with independents. I mean, that's where you have to win the presidency, is to get independents on board. It is interesting to see that now he's down to 31% approval.
Well, I think it's important to point out, too, that this isn't just a CNN poll. This is Republicans who are saying this about Trump. And probably the most powerful voice this week has been Ken Griffin, a huge Republican donor who said that the country is 20% worse off since Trump was inaugurated. That the brand of America, which is not just a financial brand, it's a cultural brand, it's a military brand, has been really dinged. And I think not only has he lost independence, but you can see clearly within the Republican Party there is enormous concern. And you hear about the rows going on backstage with Scott Bessent at Treasury, with Elon Musk, saying Elon Musk overpromised, saying he was going to cut $2 trillion. Of course, he's overpromised and underdelivered. It feels chaos, and you're seeing it reflected in the polls.
Yeah. Tia, should we be surprised by any of this?
So, in a way, yes and no. I think we all say, Trump ran on immigration. He ran on some of these culture war issues. He ran on really, turning the federal government upside down. But I think what the polling is showing us is even on the culture wars issues and on immigration, he still tied that into an economic message. He said, we're going to kick out the illegal immigrants because they're taking resources away from cities. They're taking your black and brown jobs. And so that has not turned out to be true. The economy has not turned around, even as he's cracked down on immigration. The economy has not turned around as he's focused on these culture wars. And I think that's what's being reflected in the polls. People are saying, you promised that you were going to help lower the cost of goods, put more money in our pocket, put more jobs in the economy, and that is not what's happened, even though you promised it would on day one. I don't think, quite frankly, President Trump is as worried about his approval ratings right now. He doesn't plan on being on the ballot again, even if he plans on remaining in the White House. But what I think is concerning to a lot of Republicans is the fact that they know these polls could mean a disaster for Congress in 2026. And he doesn't seem to be that concerned about that either.
I do think that is the key, right? Because in these midterms, it's going to be these all House members that are going to be on the ballot. It's going to be these congressional members that are going to have to face the consequences. And Trump, Harry, he's not going to have to.
Yeah, he's not going to have to, but I'll tell you, there is pretty much zero chance if Donald Trump's approval rating is 41% in November of 2026, the Republicans have any shot of holding the House of Representatives. I repeat, there is no precedent for a president's approval rating being as low as Donald Trump's is right now, and then his party holding on to the House in the midterm elections. We were talking about it yesterday. I mean, when you look at approval ratings this low, this early, you look at where the generic ballot is this low, this early, that usually spells doom for the president's party when it comes to midterm elections.
Yeah, and to that point, Republican Don Bacon of Nebraska saying that maybe he's going to be considering retirement, trying to figure out if that's going to be worth it or not for him, which obviously all of these people have to do. And Molly, you have a piece in the Wall Street Journal, The Never Surrender President Retreats. And I think there is the question of how much is he internalizing any of this, and does he care?
Well, you do see him backing down on a few fronts recently, right? The way we've seen him handle the tariffs, the on again, off again, the fact that he's paused them in the face of blowback from the markets and from his own party. The way that this week he went back on his seeming threats to want to terminate the chairman of the Federal Reserve, which the markets did not like at all. But even the way he's approaching, things like Doge, the sort of gradual phasing out of that Elon Musk effort, as Joanna talked about, and on Ukraine, now threatening to walk away from these talks entirely. Now, we did see some potential progress with the Zelensky meeting yesterday at Pope Francis's funeral, but these are a lot of different fronts on which you see, a president whose popularity is declining, starting to potentially moderate some of these vast promises that he's made, even as, of course, he is still being maximally confrontational in a lot of different ways. But you saw the student visa issue, right? The administration just completely abandoning that attempt to take away thousands of student visas on Friday. So you see in a lot of places they are backing down to some degree.